Okay, so I have your presentation. I can put it right here.
Okay, and then I have a short, like 1 minute video at the very end, just to show the resource.
So is it in the PowerPoint or
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Now, what I don't know is if it's, sometimes you can record up on that's what I don't know.
Okay. Well, I want to feel okay. She's a video in her presentation that if you could just like not maybe just like turn that on. Just let her. Okay. She has a video in her presentation. She's a second one.
Yeah.
Dr. C.
Administrators, and yes, the community to combat absenteeism. Charleston, Madeline Jastoviak, Line 5.
We all have, what we all have. And I can write mine and I'm putting it out to the other day. Yeah, but kind of, oh my goodness. Yeah, Yeah, but I mean, I've been diagnosed with chronic sinus and allergies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or 5 cumulative days. And so to address the trends of chronic absenteeism, which we really have been working on in our communities to ensure they age, but there are also resources in place to help support when
Now that we are about halfway through the school year, what specific strategies or programs has the school district implemented to reduce chronic absenteeism and the truancy rates?
Yeah, so we have been really launching a great initiative. One, I would like to make sure that all of the community about SPaCE scholars are parents and our community engagement monthly, and we'll continue to offer.
Yeah, I'm an allergist. Thank you for checking. I know I was
Need some water? Go ahead,
I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Now, it doesn't just lift the fact that they're still hard, but ensure that they're not school, learning, and get their
That's help out too.
It does. So we're gonna be tracking and monitoring exactly what schools look like, how we can actually roll this out in other areas that may benefit. But really looking at that data, getting feedback from the families to determine if a second trust stop.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Can you share any data or statistics that demonstrate the impact of these efforts on students?
Yeah, so besides like the anecdotal data or the statistical data, I want to talk about the anecdotal data that we've been collecting. So we have seen an uprise in our schools actually celebrating the scholars, not just for academics, but also attendance. So across social media platforms or emails that we're receiving from our school administrators, we've seen a lot of celebration points in our attendance. We've seen a lot of pictures coming with families, parents, the home. And we've also had an uptick in parents to ask what else can you do. So those are some of the great anecdotes, but we are being pushed to these power and so what is the next one?
Fantastic, Dr. Cody. Thank you for what you're doing, not only being on the show today, but what you're doing.
Absolutely, thank you.
We got one more quick slide coming up. Just off stage.
Tonight's event is an opportunity for the Charleston District to remark some of the programs that have always made CCS complete. And so we're offering SPaCE for our scholars, parents, and our community partners to come together here about those things that are working well in Charleston County School District, but also for them to share ways in which we can improve in our communication and output support. We have a listening session plan process, so they're going to be able to share, some of the great things that they feel are happening within their schools, some of those areas that they would like to see. And then they'll also have that opportunity just to advocate on behalf of many of their scholars that aren't present. So, again, give them that voice and choice. So what we want with it. parent portion is going to be engaged in 3 different areas. And every month you can expect something new. So for tonight, we're going to talk about student support. We have a representative present that will talk about parent support, how they communicate concerns, and what type of feedback and support they're receiving in resolving those concerns. We're also going to have bus transportation present. We're going to talk with parents about ways to communicate with bus drivers, the bus company, and report concerns about transportation. And then we're talking about the building, our climate, our safety, and any concerns that parents may have around their schools. These topics, because the 3 topics that I just described are like our hot button topics, maybe a lot of conversations coming from individuals, phone calls coming in. And so we thought, what better way to go ahead and just bring all 3 together to really talk to parents, communities, but more importantly, for the community to actually give input, ask questions, and engage.
I think it's important for school districts to be in regular communication with their constituents because there is no school district. And an educated populace is someone who can better advocate themselves. And then we're going to school districts to say, hey, these are the people who need it. We want to avoid paternalism at all costs. We want our parents to be as involved as they can. And things like this, I think, is a step in the
Charleston County School District plans to host monthly meetings with parents, students, and community members. And tonight at the first meeting, district officials covered a range of topics from school safety and transportation. Trying to get more involved in the community and in the district. Patricia White and a room full of other Charleston County School District parents spent their evening learning more about South Carolina's 2nd largest school system. I'm curious about the ELA, the curriculum. Curious to see the discussion about bus safety and that's an issue with many people who have young children in the neighborhood. Those were a few of the topics discussed Wednesday during a parent, student, and community meeting at Royal Missionary Baptist Church. The meeting marked the first of what will be a monthly occurrence.
So tonight we are launching our student, parent, and community engagement meetings, which is basically going to be designed as a monthly meeting throughout the school year, also continue next school year, that engages students, parents, and communities across the Charleston County School District, and the things that are happening in their communities.
In one room, parents and community members were introduced to different departments within the district. They learned about safety procedures, school transportation, and the ELA curriculum. Another group was dedicated to the students.
And so also students, of course, we're talking about their learning skills, also talking about becoming community skills, but also so what's working well in Charleston?
Dr. Shavana Copley says each meeting will result in an action plan using the feedback of the attendees.
This is good to be able to pull out an exit survey to talk about what did they hear. That was an aha, what are some things that they would like for us to consider next month, and then maybe some things that we really were transparent about. Because this is all about making sure that person is engaging and responsive to the needs.
Next month's meeting is scheduled for February 20th. It will take place in the West Ashley Center. 45
So
Okay, great, thank you.
Getting students a visa to come to school is the lesson plan at the Charleston Educator Symposium earlier today. Our battle with Jasperia does is why educators put out the kids show up to school.
PowerPoint selections, display high energy events. All their feet are engaged, and that is administrators want teachers to bring that same kind of energy to their own classrooms so that students want to come to class. Today, the district is kicking off its campaign to combat chronic absenteeism. It's called Shout to Go, and the district officials say it's as simple as this. Students can't learn if they're not in class.
Oh, they won't be long.
Yes, I do, because it's gonna stop.
It's not gonna stop until it's on 30 minutes.
Second response by Charleston County School District.
Trying to remember where I said.
Now, the executive director.
Thank you.
Overview of the school district's efforts to address absenteeism.
I'm sorry. In our community to make sure that we understand the definition. But there are also resources for help.
Now that we are about halfway through the school year, what specific strategies or programs has the school district implemented to reduce chronic absenteeism and truancy rates?
Yeah, so we have been really launching a lot of great initiatives for the last 6 months. One, I would like to make sure that all of the community training about the SPaCE, our scholars, our parents, and our community engagement teams that we've been offering monthly and we'll continue to offer after the end of the school year. That's an opportunity for individuals to come together and hear more about this group and also receive support that may not have been available for this evening. We have this evening session set out to parents and resources. We also launched our second chance by scholars.
That was a comment box I forgot to assemble. Just take the box.
No, I'm just gonna put a tree there.
Yeah.
Now, God this was the fact that there was hard, but ensure that they're not school, learning, to get there.
That does help out too.
It does. So we're gonna be tracking and monitoring exactly what the supports look like, how we get actually focus on the areas that are important,
Can you share any data or statistics that demonstrate the impact of these efforts?
And actually celebrating the scholars, not just for academic scholars, but social media platforms or
She just wanted to see.
even on our parents. So those are some things we anecdotal, and we are our. You can tell me before I open it. You see?
It's just, yeah, so I and then also after, you know, how we bring up and everything, you know, the parents like high school, you know, really have to have and we just collaborate with them, and I'll have that. No, yeah, all of them, I was
Tonight's event is an opportunity for, and also my school district to relaunch some of the programs that have always made CCSP3. And so we're offering SPaCE for our scholars, parents, and our community partners to put together here about those things that are working well in Charleston High School District, but also for them to share ways in which we can improve in our communication and output support. We have a listening session planned for our schools where they're going to be able to share, some of the great things that they feel are happening within their schools, some of those areas that they would like for us to consider. And then they'll also have that opportunity just to advocate on behalf of any of their scholars that aren't present. So, given that voice and choice, so we'll be parent portion is going to be to engage them in 3 different areas on this evening. And every month you can expect something new. So tonight we're going to talk about student support. We have representatives present that are talking about our parents, how they use their concerns, and what they do that to support girls in resolving those concerns. We're also going to have bus transportation present. We know talking with parents about issues with bus drivers, bus company, and the concerns about transportation. And then we're talking about the building, our climate, our safety, and any concerns that parents may have around their schools. These topics, because the 3 topics that I just described, like our hot button topics, maybe a lot of conversations coming from individuals, phone calls coming in. And so we thought, what better way to go ahead and just bring all 3 together so we can talk to parents, community, but more importantly for the community to be able to actually give input, ask questions, and engage.
I think it's important for school districts to be in regular communication with their constituents because without the students, there is no school district. And an educated populace and so on, better advocate for themselves, and then working with the school district to say, hey, these are the things we need. How can we work with the community? We want to avoid maternalism at all costs. We want our parents to be as involved as they can, and things like this, I think, is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, Brendan, the Charleston County School District plans to host monthly meetings to engage with parents, students, and community members. So tonight at the first meeting, district officials covers a range of topics from school safety and transportation.
That's already?
Sure.
All right.
We're trying to get more involved in the community and within the district.
Patricia White and a room full of other Charleston County School District parents spent their evening learning more about South Carolina's second largest school system.
I'm curious about the ELA, new curriculum. Curious to see about the discussion about bus safety, and that's an issue with many people who have young children in my neighborhood.
Those were a few of the topics discussed Wednesday during a parent, student, and community meeting at Royal Missionary Baptist Church. The meeting marked the first of what will be a monthly occurrence.
So tonight we are launching our student, parent, and community engagement meetings, which is basically going to be designed as a monthly meeting throughout the school year, and we'll also continue with next school year, that engages students, parents, and communities of all 3 Charleston County School District, and the things that are happening within their communities.
In one group, parents and community members were introduced to different departments within the district. They learned about safety procedures.
Look at you looking like a little Lauren Handy and Maggie out there. Doesn't she? Good evening. Good evening. Thank you all for being here today. We are going to get started so that we are cognizant of our time. I am Dr. Shavonna Coakley, the Executive Director of School Support, and I welcome and greet you on behalf of our Superintendent, Mrs. Anita Huggins. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Tonight, you guys get engaged, involved in important conversations around social media and bullying. How do we properly use the internet and what's happening in the world of CCSD when we talk about bullying? So I'm excited for what's about to happen. Thank you for bringing the scholars out. We have our student listening sessions where we have educators and employees of CCSD who will also engage with our scholars. But before we get started, we have some very important people out in the hallway that I've asked to come in and to just give us a brief overview of what they provide in CCSD or out in the community. So if you will, please just help me welcome all of our vendors and supports of CCSD, and they can just come up one at a time. They're going to take about 2 minutes of our time to make sure that we hear, and then we invite you to stop to the table when this is all over. So again, thank you all for being here tonight.
Hi, My name is Kathy Milne. I'm the Director of Student Information, and it is very nice to see the crowd that's here tonight. I wanted to invite you all to our table that is in the hallway for support in accessing Parent Portal. We are preparing to open registration really soon, and you'll get some information about that through communications once it's all ready to roll out. But I want to let you know, we're going to ask again for residency verification. But the most important part of registering your child every year is making sure that we have up-to-date emergency contact information and updated medical information. So in the event that there was some type of emergency at the school, we'd know how best to get a hold of you and what the conditions were for your child that we might need to tend to. You'll also be able to, within Parent Portal, if you visit our table, you'll be able to access your student grades, view their attendance, and you'll also have access to the Parent Climate Survey, which is for our state report cards for our schools. So if you could, if you don't have access to Parent Portal, please see us out in the hallway. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Christy James. I work with Library Media Services, so I work with the teacher librarians in all of our school libraries. CCSD is very fortunate. We have a certified librarian in all of our schools. This means that they are a certified teacher as well as a certified librarian. So the collections, the books that are on the shelves, the resources that are offered to our students are curated by qualified individuals who are highly trained. We really strive to make sure that our library collections are inclusive. So we want all of our students to see themselves in the books, and we also want them to have opportunities to see and learn about others through the books as well. Our libraries aren't just about books, though. That will always be a foundation. But what's become increasingly important is information literacy, that ability to be able to look at materials, be able to evaluate them, see what's credible, see what's not. That's extremely, extremely important for our students as well as adults. And CCSD has a number of fantastic digital resources that are available to all of our students, available at home as well as at school. Those are available through Clever. I've got bookmarks out at my table that I can share that have some of those resources. But all of those resources that are there in Clever, those databases, those ebooks are already vetted and provide quality information for our students. I'm happy to talk with you all, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lakia Johnson Drayton. I am the Assistant Director with Department of Exceptional Children. With Department of Exceptional Children, we believe that all students can learn. Their path, their journey may be a little bit different. We have a legal obligation under IDEA, which is the Individuals with Disability Education Act, to find students who may have disabilities and to ensure that once we identify them, that we link them with appropriate services and support so they can access the general education curriculum. That process will look different depending on the presenting needs, but it's our goal to ensure that we do link services in their least restrictive environment so that they can succeed and do all that they can do within the means of IDEA. We do a lot of collaboration with Department of School Support as well as Student Support Services. Again, as I mentioned, a legal obligation to child find. We start the identification process early on when children are transitioning from BabyNet to 3 years of age. And that is mandated by our child find department, which is a collaboration between Department of Exceptional Children, our speech and language therapists, our occupational therapists, our physical therapists, as well as our school psychologists under Student Support Services. The journey is never short, but we do believe in collaborating with our community stakeholders as well as parents to ensure that we are addressing the students' educational and functional needs. So we do have a table. We have brochures regarding our child find process, as well as some Post-its, some highlighters, and some headsets. So please, once y'all are done or if there's break, stop by our table to gain some additional information regarding our department. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Lisa Allison with Student Support Services. You just heard a little bit about some of the work that we get to do, that we're honored to do. We do a little bit more in addition to Child Find. We are the arm of the department that works collaboratively with other departments to ensure wraparound services for students and their families. And our mission statement is to create a climate of advocacy that is conducive to providing equitable access, resources, and supports for all students within their ecosystem. And that's you all, that's their family, that's their community, that's the ecosystem. And that includes their school, of course, as well, in order to positively impact student success. We work very closely with the Department of School Support as well, and we're very excited to be here. We do have a table outside. We've got lots of pamphlets for anyone interested, as well as some goodies too, so come visit us. But part of the services within our department include school psychologists, counselors, school social workers. We have mental health and wellness coaches available in our schools. We have clinical counselors and behavior specialists. And we also support homebound services. We work a lot with community-based organizations who help support our families within their community. And we help support restorative practices. So those listening circles that are happening for students, that is part of our restorative practices work under Kanika Panago. And we also help support nonverbal de-escalation, crisis prevention, threat assessments, all those things that can be barriers to academic success. So we work in partnership with our curriculum and instruction and academic support so that we can support the whole child within the school and within their family and community unit. So I know you all are going to have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Department of School Support, for hosting this.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening. My name is Gloria Collazo. Buenas noches. I work with the Office of Translation and Interpretation Services. Our goal is to work and have every family have access to their child's education in as many languages as possible. Most of us are bilingual in Spanish and English, but we do have Portuguese interpreters as well. We are working with the schools. Every school has a multilingual liaison to help every family have access to their child's education. If we are not able to provide the language, we do have, we provide services through the language line. We're working with the student support team as well, with the Department of Exceptional Children, and we try to attend every event so any family that is multilingual can get access to all the information that is provided. Thank you for having us. I know you're going to be learning a lot because I helped in some of the translation. So it's about internet safety, about bullying. So it's going to be really informative for all of you. Thank you for having us. Again, Office of Translation and Interpretation Services. We're here in Cajon, but we're all over the district. Thank you.
So with that being said, we have the Department of School Support, and I would ask all those who represent the Department of School Support to please stand. We like to say that our office is mostly the last point of contact for our scholars because it deals with that heavy lift of student discipline. So student discipline around discipline in our schools, discipline around attendance, discipline around things that happen within the community. But that fun part of our department is that community engagement piece where we get to have these community projects like tonight, where we make space where there's safety in the room, where we can have engagement conversations around how do we better support our communities, our families, and our students. So on tonight, I invite you, any member that you see standing in the room, to engage, introduce yourselves with them as well. Every table that you sit at in the room represents school support and all of the arms and hands that you saw come before this podium. So again, welcome on behalf of the school support and the many
departments that you heard, and especially our superintendent, Mrs. Huggins. Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys can have a seat. All right, so first on our list, we are moving along. I want to remind our speakers as well as everyone in the audience, we also have Zoom going on right now. So we have some participants who are actually participating via Zoom. So Mr. Naraki and Ms. Steele, make sure that we got to stay at the podium. Sometimes I'm a mover, so I like to walk around, but the podium is where we are at for Zoom. To our Zoom friends, hello, how are you? And welcome. So our first speaker, I'm really excited about this, is going to be about internet security awareness. So that internet safety that we are really, really battling in today's age of what's happening. We've got good things happening with the internet, then we've got some not so good things happening with the internet. So before you all came, I got a call from Miss Drayton, and she asked me if I would use Facebook Messenger to call her so we could locate something in Miss Ash's office. So I tried the Facebook. Well, I gave her a warning, right, Mr. Naraki? I said, okay, whatever pops up on my phone, I'm not responsible for. So, because you're talking Facebook, right? You just don't know what's going to happen. But we were able to log in, do the little Facebook meetup Google thing, and we found what we were missing, right, Miss Ash? That's a good thing. But then there are some not so nice things that happen across social media. And so we're going to talk about that safety, security awareness. So please welcome to the stage my good friend, Mr. Naraki. Come on up, sir. Thank you.
Good evening. So my name is Tom Naraki. I'm the Executive Director of IT, Charleston County School District. So I'm in charge of everything that your child touches that has anything to do with the internet or anything that's just technology related, the PA system, the teacher boards that are in the classrooms, all those things. But today we're going to try to talk about cyberspace. So when we hear about cyberspace, it's going to go rapid fire. We think of this. We think of satellites orbiting the Earth, and they're passing beacons and flashing lights and all these fancy things. And that's kind of what we think the internet is, but it really has nothing to do with the internet. So my goal tonight is to give you a Reader's Digest condensed version of a little bit of cybersecurity awareness that I hope you can take home to your families and to your children, but just to make you more aware of really what you're dealing with. So ultimately, okay, it's going to go real fire. Fiber optic cables are really what drive the internet. Now, fiber optics are, you probably have it to your home now in many neighborhoods. The fiber optics are buried underground. They're running across the telephone poles. Go ahead and click it. This is what the internet really is. It's not the satellite so much. It's just your computer attached to somebody else's computer. And I go through that to show you that when we click on things, when we log into an app or log into a website or give our financial data, you're not going somewhere that's like in space and nobody knows about it until it gets to where you want it to go. You're just going through somebody else's computer, probably dozens of times to get to the end result. So every time you hit the enter key, you just have to be cognizant that your data or your packet or your request is going through multiple computers. It might stay there. It might be rerouted, copied, kept, and then passed along, but you never know. So we always want to be careful about what we do. Right? So keeping your data safe, go ahead. So have you ever seen some of these fun questions? We're going to click right along. So how old would you be if the digits in your age were flipped? Or what's the first year or your first car? What street did you grow up on? What was your pet's first name? What's your favorite food? Where else do you see these kind of questions? Anyone? Your security questions at your bank or your credit card, right? If you see these on your social media, I saw several of them today. I just had to shake my head. Click on this and you'll be, you've seen them all, right? You'll get free money, or it'll tell you, what sign of the zodiac is best for you to be just by clicking. Anytime you click on anything like that, someone is creating that post to gather data about you. So all of these things, if you're answering these types of questions online, somebody is gathering that data and it's going to be used in culmination with other things that are available freely on the good web, and also not so free, but purchased large databases on the dark web. Go ahead. So one thing that people thought I would never say is to stop using passwords. That's kind of the 80s and 90s approach to security. So I know you're all asking, Tom, well, what do we do if we don't use passwords? Well, I'm going to tell you that right now. So I want to use passphrases. And the reason we don't use passwords is because this number, that's 100 billion with a B. The average hacker or bad actor can do 100 billion tries at a password hack or an account hack per second. Yeah, that's what I said. Then I read today to make sure that my numbers were at least not really way out there. And some of the advanced hackers with computers the size of my car, they can do a trillion guesses at something. So if your password is password, blink your eye and it's gone, right? And it's there. All right, go ahead. So this was a little bit aged, but in 5 years, we kind of did a study. What were the most used passwords? You can see ranked number 1 for 5 years straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was the number 1 password that was gleaned through all cybersecurity, the FBI, the CIA, and all those other agencies. Password, you can see, is very frequently used. So if you're one of those, just know that your information is already gone. You'll never get it back, and you'll never know what's going to be used for. So use a passphrase. Now in quotes, in the parentheses, I have with special characters. So go ahead. A passphrase is just a series of words or a sentence or a title that you know that's easy to remember, but it's going to make it harder for someone else to, or even these computers, these mega computers, to guess. So you'll get these in your notes in the handout, passwordmonster.com. We're going to give you some examples of how long it takes the average computer now. I'm not talking about these super hypercharged, water-cooled computers. Go ahead. So I said, all right, I'm going to take one of those easy ones. Puppy, 1, 2, 3. I know somebody in here has used that before. Look down at the bottom where it says time to crack your password. A half of a second, right? That's pretty quick. Down at the very bottom, it's actually laughing at me, and it says, oh dear, I'm using that password as like leaving your front door wide open. So it's making fun of me for trying to use that. Next. So I said, okay, I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult. I'm going to put an exclamation. Nobody could ever guess that. Now we're up to 2 seconds. But think about that at 1 billion attempts per second, how long would it take to guess something like this? Go ahead. We're going to click through a couple as examples. Here's a passphrase, Dust in the Wind, right? One of my favorite bands, Kansas. Here's the title of a song. Now, in and of itself, not very safe because they're all dictionary words and strung together, it's used relatively frequently. So how can we make it safer? Next. And you see 305 years. So I capitalized the W. This is called entropy. When we started adding a little bit of complexity, special characters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers. Now we doubled from Dust in the Wind with no capitalization from 305 to 610 years. Now, I don't know if it's 610 years or 61 days I don't know. It's a lot, right? They're relatively accurate. Next. I can go even more, leave the capital W, and I can replace the I with a exclamation point, right? So now I can remember this pretty easily. And I'll show you a way that you can kind of keep shortcuts of some of these things. But 12 centuries. Next. Here's another one, another brick in the wall. All right. I added capital to some of the words, but not all of them. And I added an exclamation point. Now we're at 72 million years. I'm not going to be around if it takes them that long to figure it out. They can have it. All right. Next. So anything that you like to do, that's the easiest way to remember a password. I can promise you, if you are one that uses the same password in every app and everything that you do online, you might as well just open up your wallet and give your credit card out on the internet itself.
You know how when my iPhone it says suggest secure password?
Yes.
Is that safe to use?
I'm going to bite my tongue because I would never do that. However, I will show you something that's very similar to that. So these are just 3 random words, right? I capitalized the first one, put 2 hacks or exclamation points at the end. This says 15 centuries. Next. So something called password lockers. If you go on the internet and do a search on password lockers, these are software applications. They're not impervious, but they're pretty safe. I use LastPass, the one at the bottom right. I remember one password. And I also have multi-factor authentication. So when I try to log into it, it sends me a text and says, hey, is that you? I say yes or no, right? So next. So normally when I go into a website and I log in with my username and password, it'll pop up and it'll say, do you want to save this in LastPass? And I said, why, of course I do. Because I never have to worry about what I just put in as a password in that site. It'll also say, do you want me to try to give you one? And here's similar to what Apple does. So it's going to suggest this. Now watch this. We're at 17 centuries, I think, for the last sample that I put in. Next. If I took what it gave me, now I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm not the dullest, but I couldn't even begin to describe what is 14 billion trillion year. I think they made that up. But again, I don't know how realistic that is, but you can see that this would be almost impossible. There would have to be so many combinations. There's literally trillions of combinations with all these characters. Next. So let's consider that. So now let's talk about your children, especially young children. So thousands of children will have their identity stolen by grade 5 every year. And the parent will never find out about it, typically until they fill out the FAFSA form for that child to go to college. So I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a guru for all that kind of stuff, but I can tell you with my children, I froze their credit. They're grown now, but from, I think, age, I don't know, 9 or 10, when I first figured out about all this, I froze their credit. So no one could ever steal their identity and use their social security number to create a credit account. So there are children who own houses and they don't know it. And the parents of these children could be liable and usually end up being liable because the child's name, social security number, date of birth, and all that were used to buy this. Now, there's a lot of back end kind of finagling to go on with that, but consider freezing their credit. I just had a grandson 6 months ago, right? So doesn't have a social security card yet, but as soon as that comes in, I'm freezing his credit. So just be aware. These are the kind of things that happen. So that obviously no one can do that. You can go to Experian.com and search for child identity protection, and that'll help you. Next, please. So there's an app for that, but should you use it? Any app that's free, you're giving away something of yours that you own. So app developers typically don't do this just because they're jolly good people. They're doing it because the app is getting you to give them information that they can sell. Most of the hackers, they're not there to create a virus and cause chaos anymore. That's definitely 1980s. Now, social engineering is what all of this stuff is about. And it's really getting you to answer something just like the Facebook stuff. That's social engineering, something that you think is cute and it's fun. What was your teacher's first name? Or what state or city were you born in? What was your mother's maiden name? Well, now start putting all that together, and that's on every credit app that you're ever going to file. So if it's free, chances are you're going to give stuff away. TikTok is one of the prime examples. I'm not here to bash TikTok. I'm just saying that's one app that if you sign up for that and you log into TikTok, you are literally giving that app developer permission for anything in or on your phone, including turning your microphone on and turning your camera on. So no one reads those acceptable use things and those license agreements when you log in for that stuff. I would question you if you said you did read every one of them. I don't. But if it's free, just know that you're giving away something. You just got to know, is it worth it? Most of the time, if I see an app and it wants either that information or it wants me to log in with certain information or permissions on my phone, I'll just go find another app. I'm a musician, so I wanted a metronome. Metronome goes tick tock, right? You can change the speed and it goes faster, slow. All I wanted to do was go tick tock, tick tock. It wanted access to my phone, my contact list. It wanted access to my files on my phone. I didn't need a metronome that badly, right? I can still have one of those ones that you wind up that's on my piano, but always be careful. Next, please. All right. Logging into social media sites. You've all seen these, right? Instead of logging in with a username and password, or just log in with Google. Once you do that, you've just given that app permission for everything that's tied to your Google account. You said, go ahead and do it. You're giving them permission to log in with those. Apple is another one. Next, here's another example. And you can see the red dots or the red box with the 3 dots. That's my LastPass. That's my password locker. So instead of clicking on one of these down here, all I have to do is click that box and it's going to say, oh, you want to go to Amazon to buy soap for the family. It's going to fill in the username, hit enter. It's going to fill in the password, and I don't have to remember or touch a thing. It does it automatically for me as long as I'm logged into LastPass. But that's what that red box is. Next, please. I don't know if I started my timer. I got what, 2 hours? Is that what I got? So be careful when logging into those things. So if hackers get into your Facebook, right, there's a chance that they can find their way to all other apps that you have access to, especially if you're one that uses the same password for everything. So little bits of information are what these people do. Now, in today's world, there are many, 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 many individuals who don't want to go to college because they can sit home with a hoodie and sweatpants on, right, eating Cheerios dry and do this kind of stuff all day long. It used to be that a social security number was worth $1,000 for one social security number if it was hacked. Now it's about 13 cents. So they have to glean thousands and thousands and thousands. They put them all together and then they sell them as a package. Well, when people buy these things for fractions of that amount, and they put that with your date of birth and your driver's license numbers and everything else that we share on the internet one way or another, they're making a killing off of it, but all of your data is spread out all the way across. So now they're going to go, oh, Naraki, let's see, oh, not hard to find. There's not too many of them. Oh, I got him right there. Oh, that's what his username is on, 19 different sites. He uses the same username. Let's check the password. Oh, 52 sites had the same password, and they just start clicking. And now they just go in. You can see how quickly it can happen. And they do this regularly. You cannot ever undo the past. Once it's out there, it's on somebody else's computer, and you never know how many computers it's on. So that's why that very first screen it's not some big voodoo, behind the scenes. It's somebody else's computer that we're sharing with. Next, please. Things to never store on your phone. You're going to laugh at a couple of these. Your passwords. So I told you before I was going to tell you, so another one bites the dust, right? No, another brick in the wall. See, I didn't even know what my shortcut was. Here's how I do it. Another one bites the dust. I had an exclamation point in the front and the back, and I reminded myself to use spaces in between the words. Those, I won't ask you to raise your hand because I don't want to embarrass anybody, and I know there's going to be 99% of you. How many of you have passwords somewhere on your phone in plain text? You don't have to answer. If you do, they're gone. They're gone. I'm telling you, it's gone. So use abbreviations like this, and I have several of those on my phone for those things. I just got to have access to something right away. Your very personal photos and videos. Now you'll see that I have it twice on the list. I did that for a reason because I can't tell you how many times I have to deal with employees who are in a hurry or just not thinking. They plug their iPhone into their computer and they want to charge it. That's all they want to do, but they're not thinking, oh, that phone's going to sync to iCloud, but it's also syncing to the desktop or the laptop that's on the school network. And can you imagine some of the things that I've got to erase or ask them to please remove? So that's twice. Any photo containing private information. I know she might get mad at me, but it doesn't matter. I love her. She loves me. My wife has pictures of my children's social security cards on her phone. Every time she goes to the doctor, she has to fill out the form. Now she's good at remember, but she has kind of a file or a folder with all those kinds of things. Don't ever do that. Right? Find a way to put it in some kind of a sequence that isn't 9 digits because you've got 3, 2, and 4. That's the sequence. These programmers and these hackers, that's what they're looking for. Show me any number on this phone that has a sequence of 3-2-4. That's a social security number. Give it to me. And all they got to do is get a couple thousand of those and they've had a good week. All right. Your online bank account. It's obvious, right? If you've got it in there in plain text, it's free. It's free. And they're just dying to get that kind of stuff. And your home address. Why don't you want your home address in your phone? It's kind of like how many of you on your GPS have your actual home address in your GPS in your car. Somebody breaks into your car. Now they know where you live. And, it's just that one of those things. Or your overhead clicker, right? For your garage door. How many of you have it stuck to your visor? All that someone has to do is bash into your window, and now they have free access to your house. So, again, that's not cybersecurity. Sorry, erase that. I didn't say that. Next, please. Scam or no scam? Sometimes it's easy. Now, back in the day, we could always look, and it was always about the funny language, and the syntax was off, and the spelling was horrible. Next. So here's what someone wants to help me invest $4.5 million. This lady wants to give me $500,000. Right? Those were easy. Now, next, it's not so easy. So shipping. And confirmation emails, social engineering. This is what it's about. I got this, and it looks like it's coming from Amazon. Normally, I would look at the from field to see what email address it's coming from. Well, there isn't even one. is blank and it goes just as invoice sent. So that was my first flag. All the rest of it looks normal. So if you got this, anyone want to say out loud what you would do if you got this to check and see if it was valid? Would you call the number? Good for you. What would you do? Delete it. And then what would you, how do you know if it's real? Maybe my wife, she would never buy an iPad, but maybe she did. How would I know if that's real or not? Go to my Amazon account, right? And log in, go to my account and look and see if it's there. If it's not there, this is fake. So again, just looking at a couple things, there's dozens of these that we've had in our full course. Most scams, what did I tell you that I use it 3 times so far? What do hackers use now mostly? Social engineering, right? So think about it. A white truck pulls up in front of a restaurant in downtown Charleston, middle of summer. There's people lined up around the block, and a white truck pulls up. This guy walks inside and says, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to shut your power off." She starts freaking out, right? I got a freezer full of food. I got all these people waiting to come in. I got people sitting down. I'll never get paid for the meals that I just served. "Man, I'm sorry. My boss just says, look, I got to shut it off. I can take $100, to keep it on for an hour and buy you at least the lunchtime hour." And what would you do as a business owner? That's social engineering, putting you under pressure, putting you under fire to make a snap decision. And social engineering is just all about attacking your mind and your ability to snap and think through some of those decisions. There's tons and tons of those. Next, please. I got 3 minutes. We're going to go through really quick. Virtual kidnapping. I didn't put up here to be dark or whatever. The CIA says that this is one of the top social engineering scams that there is. One of our senior leaders in our district just had this happen, right? So they call and they say, "I have you fill in the blank, your child, your spouse, your grand, whatever it is, and I need you to wire me however much money it is." So with today's artificial intelligence, it only takes about 25 words to create a conversation with you. Think about that. Where's your voice? Your voicemail, Facebook. If you do TikTok or Snapchat or any of those things, right? Your voice is out there. 25 words. If someone wanted to, they've done it to both presidents, previous president, current president. They've done it to many celebrities where it sounds like they're having a conversation, but it was all AI generated. So now they're saying at the CIA that most people can't tell it's not their child or not their spouse. And so what we're saying is that every family should at least have a discussion. If this ever happens, do have a secret word. If it's your child or if it's anybody in your family, find something like calling them by their first name. I would never call my father by his first name, right? I never call my mother by her first name, but if I ever did, then they would know that that's really me, right? So sure, you got my, whatever it is, I want to talk to them. Tell me what that secret word is that we have in our family. If they can't do it, it's a scam, hang up the phone, it's done. Anyway, this is serious. Talk about it with your family that if someone ever gets that call, especially our parents, right? My mom lives with me. I'm sure that she would freak out over something like that. Go ahead, I got just a couple more. Self-checkout scam, Walmart, and I won't go through all these, but Walmart, one of the biggest scams right now is that someone will pick up one of the gift cards, and they'll walk right through the self-checkout scanner and they'll go beep and they'll just keep walking. And they'll walk over and they'll stand on the other wall and they'll just wait for you to come up with your basket and your child, and you're just wanting to go home and get in a nice, cool house. And you're not looking at whether it starts at 0 or not, or whether something has already rung in. And now you're running your groceries and then you don't worry, you don't find out about it till you're home. And what you did is just paid for their gift card. The social engineering. Playing on people not paying attention. Real quick, next one. In reality, I just want to throw this out there, artificial intelligence. They're saying that tomorrow's AI-enabled students will graduate to a world where AI-enabled research, authoring, and decision-making are key professional skills. If it's not on a resume for our children of the future, that they know how to manage and manipulate AI, they won't find a job in most cases. That's going to be the key. Companies now are making money because they're using AI to help them find customers, keep customers, and also buy better product. Next. So we don't have to go through this. You can kind of get back in the day, scribes. They were all about, we'll remember everything for you. You come to me and I'll tell you what you need to know. We're the smart people. Printing press came along, and now you don't need anyone to help you. You can read it yourself, as long as you can find it and you can read. Then the internet came and said, well, we'll retrieve everything for you. You don't need to go to a library. You don't need to go anywhere to find those special books. We'll do it. With artificial intelligence, now Basically, the concept is they'll do all the thinking for you. I've written some pretty decent things using artificial intelligence, and this is my last slide right here, I think. So just to give you perspective of where this is, it took Twitter, it took 2 years to reach 1 million users. It took ChatGPT, which is just one of hundreds of artificial intelligence engines, 5 days to get to 1 million. It's here. If your children talk about it, play with them. Go on, sign up for one of the free accounts in ChatGPT or Bard or whatever it is. We've been using artificial intelligence for years and years and years. You just don't know it. But if I started listing some of the things, you go, oh yeah. All of the stuff things that pop up on your Facebook account, that's all artificial intelligence, right? They know that. When you're in YouTube and you're searching videos and they bring up on the sidebars, all that other stuff, all artificial intelligence. All right, I lied. I think this is my last slide and I'm done because you don't need to know. Here's just one example of what I say is interesting, intelligent, yet surprisingly stupid. So I typed in, I have a 12-liter jug and a 6-liter jug. I want to measure 6 liters. How do I do it? It said, fill the 12-liter jug, pour the contents into the 6-liter jug, then empty the 6-liter jug, take the remaining water in the 12-liter jug, pour it in a 6-liter jug, and you have exactly 12 liters. So is it correct? It's correct. Assume you didn't spill a whole lot. But that's my prompt. That's my initials, right? And this is their response. I could give you a dozen of these. They're getting better at catching this, but also anti-plagiarism, all those kinds of things to help to see if your child is using these engines. We're helping teachers learn more about AI and how they can use it in the classroom. So I know that was a crash course. Normally this is a 2-hour kind of discussion, but I hope it just kind of gave you some ideas. We're hoping now to do a full video of this and also one for the children. At the district, we're working on teaching children more about passwords and how to use those and how to create them and be safe, at least at younger ages, to understand that there are passwords and they're important and why they're important. And then as they progress in our high schools, we'll have the same level of password complexity that we do as staff members. I hope you got something out of that. Have a great evening.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Naroki. I appreciate it. So I have a real life right now, true AI story. So today at work, my phone rang and it was my son who's in his first semester of college. And he's like panicking, just panicking. He's about to go to this English class. And he says, Mama, I need your help. And I said, okay, you got to hurry up because I got to get into a meeting. And he says, my professor says we have to use AI and ask AI to give us 2 thesis options, not necessarily the research, just 2 thesis options. And we have to choose which thesis option we want. And so he read the thesis options to me. And my question to him is, well, what's the problem? Anyone want to guess what the problem is? He said, I can't decide which one. I was like, what? What do you mean you can't decide which one? So they ask you to use AI to get 2, and you just need to decide between which of the 2. Y'all, this is serious with our children. They know to go to AI, but they still have to be able to make a decision, right? So even in that situation, they still need us and they still need that guidance of what to do. But note to self, I will be going home this evening and correcting all of my passwords tonight. Say it again. Say gold star. Anyone else going home this evening to correct their password? Yes. So if you fell into any category on tonight based off of what Mr. Naroki talked about, you changing your password, start there. That would be the goal. Get those passwords changed. I don't have anything on my phone, but I do have it in Google Drive. So that was my question for you. So I have my children's stuff saved in Google Drive because every time I go to the doctor's office, they keep asking these questions and I don't know all the answers. Is that good or not good?
Because you might be one of those that have your password in multiple sites.
Yes.
If your Gmail or your Google password is one of those repetitive ones and it's compromised, now they have full access to anything in your drive. It doesn't matter where it is. If it has a password that you use and somebody has, it's free. It's free for all.
So note to self, we changing password and cleaning out Google Drive. But I heard Mr. Rocky say it's already out there, right? So we've got a lot of work to do as parents and also to make sure that our scholars understand exactly the importance behind it. So this was just a crash course. Know that more is coming, and we thank you, and we'll be able to engage in a little bit in that conversation. So up next, so we got the social media issues, and then we've got bullying, two heavy topics that we have to discuss at our district. So please welcome Ms. Steele.
Thank you. I talked to Mr. Naraki right before this because I knew I had to go after him. He said, I'll do a terrible job, so you'll be fine, but he lied to me. I'm also happy to stand behind the podium because I have my notes and make sure that I'm providing all the information that I've thought of today to give to y'all. But my name is Franz Stille. I'm the Director of School Counseling Services, and along with my counterpart, Ela Hudson, we get the privilege of supporting all the school counselors in the district. We have a process about bullying. I'm going to talk about the task force that we've had. I'm going to talk about some statistics, how we address bullying in Charleston County, and then also provide some parenting resources for you. And Ms. Ash said that she would be sending out the PowerPoint later on, so you'll have access to the links that I have available in the PowerPoint. So do I want to try this? Okay. Well, did you click or me click? Okay. Like I mentioned, for the past several years, we have had a bullying task force in the district. This has included school principals, our school psychologists, social workers, school counselors. So just lots of folks to kind of look at our process, to look at the things that we're doing, to reevaluate on occasion what our bullying protocol is. We've reviewed policy, we've looked at curriculum, and most recently, we've created what we consider to be a comprehensive school counseling, I'm sorry, not a school counseling, a comprehensive bullying protocol. And we've always had a protocol, but what this does with this new protocol is to marry prevention to the reporting, to the investigating, and to the intervention. So it's all in one place together instead of different pockets. We've had an investigative procedure and we've had the prevention side, but this puts it all together. So what we're going to look at tonight is how we define bullying and what our CCSD policy says. We're going to talk about school climate and bullying prevention, our reporting procedures that we have in place, how we investigate, the intervention supports that we want to provide students, both those who are the aggressor and the student who has been bullied, and then again, those resources that are available for you as families. So some national statistics, 2019 crime victimization survey indicated that 22% of students aged 12 through 18 experience bullying. And then a 2021 youth risk survey said that 15% of high school students had been bullied in the last 12 months. We also get feedback from our CCSD state climate survey. And so this is some of the data that I pulled from it. So 77% of our elementary and middle school students in Charleston County reported that an adult had stopped bullying from happening at their school. 80% of elementary and middle school students said an adult talked to them about bullying. And so what I think about with that is maybe they've talked to them about bullying prevention. So they've maybe had a bullying prevention lesson, or they've either responded to an incident of a student being bullied, or if they see a student doing the bullying, they've intervened. And then 76% of our high school students said that they could go to an adult if they felt like they were being bullied, so they could report that. Of the parents that completed our state school climate survey, 66, I'm sorry, I couldn't get that out. Percent of our parents completed the survey indicated that their child does have a bullying prevention program at their school. And when we compare our CCSD data to the state data, we're doing a little bit better. We're trending a little bit up from that state data, but we know that there's still work that we can always do. So there are some statistics around why students don't ask or report. This national survey from 2018 indicated that only 20% of students report that they're being bullied. And some of those reasons are that they feel helpless and they want to be able to handle it on their own. So they want to try to take care of it themselves instead of reporting it. We also hear this a lot too, like if I tell, then there's going to be more backlash. Then that person or persons who are bullying me are going to make it worse. They fear they're going to be judged by adults. These students may also already feel socially isolated, and they feel like if they tell someone and then nobody does anything about that, it just reinforces their feelings about themselves. And then students also feel being rejected by their peers. So we talk about upstanders. Like if your friend is being bullied, you want to upstand. So a student may think, well, if I tell my friend that I'm being bullied, then they might not want to hang out with me because then I'm putting them in that position where they're going to have to be an upstander for me. So this is why it's really important that we teach the distinction between tattling and reporting. We know that tattling is to get someone in trouble, but when we are reporting bullying, we're trying to keep someone safe. So making sure students understand that. It's also important that we not only rely on students. We can't just say, well, you didn't report this bullying. We've got to teach our parents, our teachers, and our other stakeholders in our schools about recognizing and reporting bullying. And then we also must create inclusive environments, create skill development, train our staff, and also do that upstander training that I talked about. So this is our CCSD policy on harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And specifically under bullying, it is defined as an unwanted, aggressive, deliberate, and repeated act with intent to hurt, insult, or threaten another person in school, on school grounds, in a school vehicle, or a school event. Bullying consists of an imbalance of power, where the person doing the bullying has more physical, emotional, or social power than the target. And we're going to kind of go through and look at each one of those indicators and kind of what those mean. We also know that multiple incidences of harassment or multiple incidences of intimidation can be bullying. So we ask schools to make sure that they're looking at that data. If they have a student that's a repeat offender of harassment or a repeat offender of intimidation, did that rise to the level, and can that possibly be a bullying situation? So those key considerations that I mentioned in the definition is about repeated. This refers to the frequency an individual is subject to bullying. And although there is no time frame related to that, there are a few key factors. So repeated does not have to be in the same form of bullying. It does not have to include the same aggressor or the same students who is experiencing the bullying. So one aggressor may bully multiple students, right? Or one student may be bullied by multiple aggressors. And then repeated does not have to occur in the same environment. So if I'm experiencing bullying in the classroom and on the playground, then that's repeated. It doesn't all have to be in one particular area. So when we talk about the imbalance of power, we talk about physical capital. We think about whether a student might be bigger or have more strength over another student. When we talk about symbolic capital, it's items belonging to or typically sought after or favored. So you think about a kid who has a broken cell phone, or maybe doesn't have one at all, or depending on what kind of clothes they wear or shoes, a student may be bullied because of that. Economic factors are personal or family financial differences between students being bullied and aggressors. Informational is that social knowledge. So if you think about, if I have some embarrassing information about you or some gossip, then I could use that as a form of bullying. And then we also think about cultural. So cultural norms within a given environment limit a student's entry into a preferred school group, or cultural consideration outside what's considered the school norm. So whether that may be dress or food or cultural heritage. So those are all considered that imbalance of power. And then there has to be intent. Bullying is a proactive form of aggression, which is intended to cause physical, emotional, or social harm. So these are some of the resources, the curriculum that we have available to schools to use specifically around bullying. But bullying prevention is not only about lessons, it's also about school-wide climate and expecting those initiatives that are intertwined with PBIS frameworks, where schools can improve climate and increase positive student outcomes. Some of those examples, like we have school-wide expectations around PBIS, like with being safe, being respectful. So bullying prevention is intertwined in all those school climate initiatives. Again, specific curriculum focuses on recognizing bullying, that's standing up and responding to those incidences, showing empathy, understanding the impact of bullying, and then identifying solutions. And then the curriculum also provides an opportunity for students to practice. So it's not just telling them what they should do in those incidences, but what should they practice doing. So the next slide talks about our reporting features. Best practices indicates that we should have a variety of means in which stakeholders should be able to report incidences of bullying, whether that be a parent, a student, or a teacher. In CCSD, we also use Gaggle, which is connected to students' email addresses and their electronics. It will flag concerning information. So if a student wrote in an email or they were writing in their school Google document about bullying, that would create a flag. It goes through that Gaggle process, which goes to our Office of Security and Risk Management so that they can do some investigating. They can push those out to schools. So it flags that information to us. We also have Speak Up, which is another way for families or students to report bullying. And then on the next slide, this is a screenshot of the posters that schools have available that they put around the schools so that students and families understand ways in which they can report incidences, and not only bullying, but you can also see if a student is in crisis, they can report that, if there's threats to self or others, or any type of other urgent situations. Students do have to be on their email account if they're going to email through Speak Up, but then there's also that phone number for families and for students to report that. And again, that information goes to our Office of Security and Emergency Management, who then push those out to the schools in order to handle those. So investigative procedures, our toolkit asks for a 2, 10, and 2. So if we get a report of a bullying incident, we're asked to start investigating within 2 days, making sure that we're making that family contact to let parents and families know about the incident, that we try to complete an investigation into bullying within 10 days, and that we're also doing follow-up. I'll talk about interventions in just a few minutes, but when we provide interventions and supports to all students, we want to make sure that those supports are being effective, that no bullying incidences have continued. So that's why that follow-up is very important as well. So this is just that investigative process. Schools will go through this process to conduct interviews, they'll review data, and then determine if bullying occurred. Again, they're going to use those criteria that are there in order to meet the definition, which is that imbalance of power. Was there intent to cause harm? Was it repeated behavior or likely to be repeated? And then behaviors are a form of aggression that typically aren't considered bullying. So this is just the process that they'll follow in order to make that determination. So these are some of the interventions. Now you can see at the bottom, there's that other there. So it can be a variety of things, but these are some of the things that we might consider. And these can be both for the aggressor. and for the student who is being bullied, because we want to make sure that we provide interventions for both. So obviously communicating with parents and families about the incident, thinking about how we can look to keep students safe. We also want to maybe teach social skills instruction. We may do a functional behavioral assessment if that's necessary. Communication skills instructions for students. We also will make referrals to the school counselor or school psychologist, the school social worker if that's needed, and then increased supports for school staff, making sure that teachers are aware of incidences so that they can be cognizant of that and be on the lookout and give us feedback. All right, so what can you do as a parent? So this came from safeatschools.org. So they talk about providing comfort. So if your student came to you, you want to make sure that you provide them support. You want to make sure that they're safe. You want to make the student know that it's not their fault if they're being bullied. And then encourage them to seek help and continue to ask until they get that. I know a lot of times we'll hear that a student said, well, I told somebody about it, but then nothing was done, and then it's dropped. We want them to continue to encourage them to do that. So we also want to work together, families and schools working together, parents contacting the schools immediately so that we know that your student is safe and creating that safe environment. Schools can develop plans for supervision and intervention, and then of course go into that bullying investigation process. We want to make arrangements for safety. We want to think about where the bullying may have occurred, maybe increase supervision and give alternative options for students. Also making sure that they may be around groups. We know that bullying usually occurs when a student is in isolation. So making sure that that kid and the student is able to be engaged with other students. We want to help build confidence. Children who bully tend to pick on students who are isolated, like I mentioned. So if we can help develop confidence in their social skills, encourage participation as much as we can. So what are some of the things that a school may have that your student is interested in that they can become involved with? We also want to practice effective responding, kind of like what I mentioned before. When we're doing bullying prevention lessons, we're asking students to practice those behaviors, right? So we may want to practice with them, have them repeat things of how they would handle a situation in the future. And then again, we want to build that self-esteem. So again, what are some things that your student is good at that they enjoy, and making sure they're engaged in those activities so that they can feel encouraged and confident and good about themselves. So we also want to communicate, encourage talking about their feelings and ideas. I know a lot of times as a parent myself, we want to give a lot, we want to talk a lot, but sometimes it's just sitting and listening, knowing that we may not have all the solutions for the student, but just giving them an open ear so that they can talk and express their feelings is important as well. All right, so these are some of the family resources, and like I mentioned earlier, we'll send this out so you'll have access to the link. But one video that I wanted to show, just to kind of give you an idea of some of the resources that are there. It's very short, it's only 1 minute, but it is a good resource. If you're having conversations with your student, these are good websites to go to. There are activities that you can do. There are videos on various topics. So if you want to click on, and hopefully there's not a commercial before it.
It allows me to speed up my projects and my productivity.
Thank you.
Its free version has comprehensive writing suggestions.
70 to 90% of kids witness bullying regularly, whether in person or online.
What can you do if you see someone else being bullied? It might feel difficult or even impossible to intervene.
But you don't have to do something big or dramatic. Even one small action can help change the outcome.
You can choose not to participate. By refusing to join in or laugh along, you're sending a message that you don't agree with what they're doing.
You can talk to the kid they're bullying. It doesn't matter if the person is your close friend. Say that you think what happened was wrong. Ask if the person is okay and how you can help.
If you feel it's safe, you can speak up and tell the kids doing the bullying to stop. You can also report the bullying. Find an adult you trust and ask for help. When enough of us take small steps, they can add up to big changes. You have the power to help stop bullying.
Learn more at captaincompassion.org.
So obviously that's just a quick video that you could show your student to talk about how they can be an upstander, right? I know that there's another video about what you can do if adults aren't around and a bullying situation happens. So just some good tips for kids. Any questions before I turn it back over to Dr. Coakley? All right, well, thank y'all. I appreciate it.
So that video said when enough of us take small steps, it leads to big things. So tonight, think about the fact that you've got more information than you walked in. And so now you can leave out here making even bigger steps. We're going to move into our engagement portion of the session. We've been doing a lot of talking with you all, and now it's your opportunity to talk and basically share what you've heard. And so if we can go back to the presentation, Ms. Shingler will be coming out to talk with you all about the questions that we will be posing and questions that we typically ask at each session. And that gives you an opportunity to engage with all parties. So we will go back to that presentation.
Good afternoon. These are our questions. What was your aha moment of the evening? What incident or information that was shared with you that made you take a pause and think, oh, I finally got it? You will now take this time with the persons at your table to share that information. You will have a total of 5 minutes to dictate and express your thoughts on paper. Your time will begin now. What do our Zoomers put their information in chat? Yes. And I said,
I also think and just thinking about the prices and all
I think 5 minutes may be too much. Yeah, I'll just mob it. Yeah, I'm gonna swap it down because it's not but an ants in here. It's not a couple of people in. That was not. Yeah. Next one is gonna be 4 minutes. We're halfway there. You must be a fast rider because some of them still talking. Oh, and the baby's back, so yeah. We've got less than 90 seconds left. And time. We're now going to proceed to our second question. Are there any lingering questions? Is there that one question you still did not get an answer to from any of our presenters on this evening? Is there any question that's still lingering that you still didn't get an answer to? Any information shared by our presenters on tonight? And the clock will begin now. Yes, sir. We've got about 2 minutes left for question 2. We are now at 1.5 minutes. A 1.5 minutes. Y'all going ahead? Okay, we're going to go on to question number 3. Are there any areas or topics needing additional clarification? And any of the information that was shared with us on this evening, is there any area of the topics needing additional clarification? We will start the timer now. Begin. Question number 3. A little over 1.5 minutes left. Okay, final question of the evening. Did today's session provide you with an opportunity to be heard? And the last question, did today's session provide you with an opportunity to be heard? Starting the timer now. About 2.5 minutes left.
That's so beautiful. Because she was doing her little thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna come back together. It looks like everyone's pretty much good to go. So thank you. So let's go to question 1. What was your aha moment of the evening? Would anyone at the tables like to share out about aha moments? All right, Mr. Frazier.
Cyber information. Specifically changing the password and whatever that long number was that was the password. 1 billion, trillion, billion, thousand, whatever.
Yeah, that's what we want, right? Yes, thank you. Next table, anyone wants to go? Yes, ma'am. So we all aiming for that billion, trillion, trillion, trillion. Yes, 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 yes. Gold star in the words of Mr. Naraki. Anyone else? Any other table? Yes. Yes. So knowing that with bullying at the school, there are different tasks, different folks that could provide that support. I wish I had had that in my time. I won't say what year, but I wish I had had that in my time. Yes. Anyone else? All right, let's go. Number 2, are there any lingering questions? Are there any lingering questions? Ooh, I like that. I like it. Yes.
We were just thinking, so the cybersecurity one was really great for me as an adult, but I have little kids and I would love to learn how to start now building their digital citizenship.
Yes.
Helping them understand what it means to be safe on the internet and tie that into the cyberbullying.
Yeah, I agree. Because my boys are 19, 18, 16, which means I'm like 7, 8, 9 years late on locking their credits, right? We need to get that out sooner to parents. Yes. Thank you. That's great. Any other? Yes.
Question. Why do they ask for personal information like mother's name, nicknames, etc.? Follow-up question, is it safe to add that information? One last question is it safe to use the password keeper app on your phone?
Yeah, because he did talk about a password keeper, right? So like at some point, and I was thinking like maybe it's safe today, but what'll be safe in 5 years, right? And lastly, if we don't give that information, if we don't set our security questions, because it does ask for a maiden name, mother's name, and all that stuff, how do you get past all of that, right? So really good follow-up questions. You're trying to get my attention. Just tell me what I'm supposed to do. Parking passes. Okay, yes. Don't forget we've got your parking passes. We don't want you paying for anything. So we will give you those parking passes before you leave. Question 3, are there any areas or topics needing additional clarification? Anything we talked about tonight or other topics you want to hear about? Anybody want to give out anything? The table I set out said it was crystal clear for them. Yes. All right. Sounds good. And number 4, did today's session provide you with an opportunity to be heard? So typically we do a thumbs up to the side if you feel good about it, thumbs to the thumbs up, thumbs to the side. It was like, okay. And then thumbs down, buddy, keep working on it. Let me see those thumbs. Scanning the audience. All right. Thank you. So a couple of, yes. Yeah.
When they came to the session, they shared their concern. A restorative practice has taken place between the staff.
Come on through now.
That staff and the parents in regards to that concern that took place in the very first session.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing that. Good job. Thank you so much. And that's what we hope comes out of these sessions, that it's not just a sit and get, but there's a sit, get, and we're going to follow up and follow through. So thank you so very much. I will say we have a family in the room. I'm going to call them out. They're from China, and they know English as well. But let me tell you, so the son attends Simmons Pinckney, and he has been having a good experience. 9 months, right? They've been here for 9 months, and their experience has been so good. So I don't see Frond or Lisa, they might be outside, but that's what we want for climate culture in our schools, that we are accepting of all people, backgrounds, and everything else. And so to hear that this is a good culture in Charleston County School District, kudos and hats to all of you in the room. Yes. Awesome. So our April meeting, we have a special guest coming, right? We have a special guest coming. We are going to be at Moultrie. We're going to be at Moultrie in April. And in May, we're coming back downtown to Burke High School, where we're going to have a special guest. So if you come to April and May, we're going to repeat the same things, and our special guest will be Superintendent Huggins is coming for an open forum as well. So please, if you're able to join us, come back out, register to attend. Those on Zoom, we would love to see you in person. If you're available next month, which is April, we'll be at Moultrie, and in May, we'll be back downtown at Burke High School. If you could complete the survey before you leave, but make sure you definitely get your parking passes. I want to thank all of you for being here, and thank you to everyone who supported this evening. Have a great evening. What did I forget? A newsletter. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the DOS newsletters, where we give all the information out, and you get to see tonight's video posted very shortly. So DOS newsletter, subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Put those.
Thank you. Have a good night.